This game really should be the game that decides, and I know it should be United going for a title and Spurs trying to heroically finish in the top six, but that's not reality at the moment, is it? It should really be a game that's deciding which of us ends up inside the Champions League qualification places, though, realistically. I think that's where both of these clubs' ambitions should really be. I don't think it's realistic for me to sit here and tell you that United should be trying to win a title right now, and I think if I did, you'd all instantly lose respect for me because I'd be talking absolute wibble. However, it shouldn't be deciding who's 13th and 14th. That's chaos and shows just how bad we've been and actually how bad they've been. I mean, the run that they've been on is horrendous. And you could argue this is crunch time for them. Now, the noise, if this was Manchester United on the run that they've been on, with a manager that's been here as long, you obviously think Ruben Amorim gets a little bit of leeway because this is not a squad that he has assembled. This is very much a squad that has been assembled by Ange Postecoglou. And you are starting to see green shoots of discontentment, both amongst the fans, but also amongst the press are starting to question him. Not very loud, because no one actually cares about Tottenham, but yeah, it's not looking good for them. He is in the firing line, and I think there is a chance each game at the moment, because of the form that they are in, could be his last. The issue is, we're equally as bad as them. Now, they've got a little bit of what we had going on last season. The big problem that they do have, and it's a valid concern, I think, is the injuries, and it's a lot of their best players in key areas. There are talks that up to 5 players could return for this game, which is massive for them. They're all back in training. Udogie, Vicario, Brennan Johnson, Maddison, and Werner are all back in full training. So I wouldn't expect all of them to play or certainly start, but some of them could be involved come Sunday afternoon. Now, we all obviously saw that they signed Matthias Tell. I think that's a real good signing for them, one that'll probably get them some goals, and goals will obviously help move them up the table. But what I think went completely under the radar was they actually managed to get Kevin Danso done as well the day before the deadline. Player that I rate highly, actually. Real tough, combative centre-half. I think he's a fantastic get for them. And that's a problem for United coming into this. I don't know if I would... I mean, you don't really want to... You don't want to try and play pace up against Van der Ven because you lose, because he's absolutely ridiculously fast. But then do you want to play muscle against Kevin Danso? I think it's a really astute signing for them, and one that could really see them finishing the season strong, especially once they get all of those players back. Now, how do they play? Well, it's aggressive. It's very attack-minded, and that's why they leak the goals that they leak. It's typically 4-2-3-1. The emphasis on fast transitions, aggressive pressing, but also possession-based build-up when they get it. They're going to aim to live in the opposition half, and yeah, despite the fact that it's such a positive system of play, it feels like their dressing room mentality couldn't be any more negative. In possession, they're going to look to move the ball quickly with short, sharp passes, moving it forward, quite key. Postecoglou generally wants his players to be both aggressive and technical in midfield. That's why you see the likes of James Maddison pulling the strings, and then you have the likes of Son, Tell, Brennan Johnson providing the necessary pace and stretching of the opposition up top. They'll look to overload one side of the pitch before switching play once they've dragged a few over, and it's all about moving the opposition players out of position and disrupting their shape just enough to get Son, Maddison, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson into 1v1 situations. The problem is it's not been working for them, or certainly not been working very often. A lot of Spurs players seem like shadows of the players that we've seen them be. Son is one that stands out. And a key feature of their play, as we saw from the second he got here, is that super high line and the inverted fullbacks. They like to push the likes of Pedro Porro and Udogie into central areas to try and create numerical advantage in the midfield area. But it's high risk, high reward, because if the fullbacks haven't quite got into the right position and the midfield's off, high and pressing, if you play through it or over it, you can get at their defence quite easily. And that's one of the reasons that I think that this Spurs team have been so poor defensively. It's a little bit like what we saw with United. Like, when they get hit on the transition, it's not really a surprise. And when they do get hit on the transition, you see teams careening through the middle of them. You're like, what's going on here? Very much like what we saw a lot last season under Erik ten Hag with United, where it was like, Christ, we are so wide open. But it is high risk, high reward. And when it works, you get results. And it's definitely exciting football, certainly more exciting than what United are playing at the moment. But it's not necessarily good and it's not necessarily effective. And that's why I think Kevin Danso is such a really good signing for them, because their backline has been such a major cause of concern. Yes, they've had injuries, but they also haven't had the best defensive unit. And maybe playing them now, as I think this is going to be, he's played in the Cup, but I think this is going to be his Premier League debut. He could really transform them into a defensive unit, because their defense looks clunky and they struggle to keep clean sheets. You can break them down. Whether United can break them down or not, I don't know. But if you have pace in the wide areas, which is where wing-backs might be a perfect foil for this, and you're aggressive in midfield, which I think if you play Bruno and Ugarte, you can do that. You can cause serious damage to this Spurs team. Even with people returning from injuries, match sharpness should allow you to be able to squeeze the life out of them a little bit and just play at a pace that they can't get. I think the star man is probably going to be Matthias Tell. He is slightly different in terms of what Spurs have got. He brings a freshness to the Spurs squad. He's got that youthful exuberance, which is a little bit absent, I think, in the way Spurs play. In the 2 games that he's played, he's got a late goal against Villa. Obviously didn't mean much, but he got praise all round for such an exquisite effort in a FA Cup tie. Not to mention, we were interested in him also. It's probably for a good reason. He is potential match winner for Spurs, and if we give him any sort of space, he'll hurt us. In terms of the United 11, we're going to be in this situation to the end of the season, right? So just get used to me telling you that there's not a lot of options. Do you know why I'm saying that? There's not a lot of options. Onana in goal, I think the back line will be De Ligt, Maguire and Yoro. I think Yoro will pop over to the left side centre half, and he'll look to cover in behind Dorgu. Now, I think it might be more beneficial if you had someone stronger, like a De Ligt in behind, and you can have Yoro alongside Mazraoui. I think that would balance out a little bit better, but I think he's going to put Yoro on the left-hand side. And I think that could clip the wings of Dorgu a little bit, and I don't want to do that. I would like to see Dorgu just given free rein to absolutely raid up and down that left-hand touchline, and I do want him on the left-hand touchline as well. Mazraoui on the right, Ugarte and Bruno in the middle, as I mentioned, looking to be aggressive with and without the ball. And then Ahmad and Mainu behind Xerxes. I don't think you can go with pace. I think you almost have to come away from that back line, because you're not going to physically outmatch Kevin Danso, and I don't think you're going to outpace Van der Ven. So we're not going to do that, and we're going to look to try and use Xerxes as a link player. See Ahmad going in behind occasionally, that's fine, and dribbling, going 1v1 against defenders. I think he's got a good opportunity to do that. But let's use Dorgu and let's use Mazraoui to create a little bit of whip for us, and see if we can get some joy by not quite going man for man against their back line. I think that's a good way that you might be able to break them down. This weekend, United take on Spurs in a huge Premier League showdown, and there is an exciting bet boost for the game, and we've also got an exclusive reward for our existing Hollywoodbet players. There's a £10 free bet for existing customers. If you've already deposited, all you got to do is log in and your £10 free bet will be credited automatically. If you've not deposited yet, simply deposit £10 or more and your free bet will be added instantly. This offer is exclusive to players who signed up using one of my links. There is no opt-in required. If you already did it, then you're already in the mix. Now, my picks for this game that are coming up is both teams to score. I don't really have a lot of faith in United to keep a clean sheet at the moment. And I'm going for Son Heung-min to get a shot on target and Bruno Fernandes to get a shot on target. That's 1+ shot on target each. I'm going for over 8.5 corners, and I'm going for Benteke and Harry Maguire to be carded. And that's been boosted from 16 to 1 to 20 to 1. So if you place a £10 bet on that, you're going to get £210 back if it wins. If you'd like to get involved in that, all you got to do is click the link in the description. If you're new to Hollywoodbets, you can create an account and take advantage of their excellent new customer offers, which are also in the description as well. Odds are subject to change. You must be over 18 to participate. And remember, football is unpredictable, and absolutely United are, and Spurs. So this weekend especially is unpredictable. If it's not a guarantee of winning, and if you want more information on responsible gaming, then please check out begambleaware.org. As always, it's brought to you exclusively by Hollywoodbets and myself. Let me know your bets for this weekend's game in the comments below. How do you beat them? I think you take advantage of their lack of fitness and lack of sharpness. If he rushes any players back, make the game a pacey one. And that's something that United have really struggled with. We are 2 gears slower than what I've seen us under Ten Hag. I think it's by design, but it's still the truth. Their shape will not be as impressive as it can be, so test it. And the lack of sharpness alone, if they start any of those injured players, could be a big advantage for us. They could end up beating themselves. They're going to be unorganised at the back at times because of the way this system is for them. Take advantage of it. Let's get the likes of Ahmad and Dorgu 1v1 with their defenders, because I back them. And the likes of Bruno and Garnacho, who I expect to come on later in the game, should have enough to put pressure on that Tottenham side and get some shots off. The pace that is in our team, I think especially with Dorgu, I'm looking at him predominantly, can hit them on the counter because they play such a high line, and keep him away from Van der Ven as well, because obviously that's such an asset for them on the counter. But it's going to be a tough task away from home, but we're good actually away from home. It's at home when we're expected to win that I think is the issue. I think there's goals in this game. I'd be surprised if there's clean sheets. I think United can get the job done. We really need to get the job done. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below. And do you think we'll see Dorgu on the left or the right this time? I think people are going to lose their shit if he's on the right-hand side, aren't they? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.